Sensitivity is intelligence. With grace and skill, you have abundance. Welcome to the Psychic Hour. Host Kelly Brickle is a psychic medium, numerologist, healer, and teacher. Her passions are learning about the soul and energy. Whether through spirit, emotion, or vibrational numbers, there is always a pathway of information waiting to help. Now, here is your host of the Psychic Hour, Kelly Brickle.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Psychic Hour on Sacred Spiral Network. It's great to see you. We're here. We're back. And today we have the wonderful Bronwyn Jane. She's a psychic medium. She's a spiritual coach. She has her own college in Australia. She's an author. And I'm so happy to have her on the show because she's a multifaceted powerhouse. And it's always fun to pick people's brains and share their light and be in their vibration. So we're going to have her on in just a moment. And first, we're going to go into the topic of the day and some spiritual discussion to help open up this space. So definitely what I was inspired to talk about today is the balance of grounding and spirit. And I feel like when we have so much that we are cultivating within our lives, it is so important to actually have increased balance. And so it might find that, it's always more. And that can be what life is like. What's next? It's not just the wanting of more, but it's the having of more. And it's not just like, how can I fulfill myself? What's next? It's also the balance of what can I give to myself? What can I nourish within myself? What can I help stabilize within myself to then expand forward? So there's like this lightning fast energy that comes in when we're inspired and we want to create. And there's that fire energy. The lightning energy is like the plasma fire energy, right? Hello, everybody coming in. Hello, Keith. And that's really what can supercharge us and help us to be inspired to go, oh gosh, I'm having these experiences like with spirit, within my intuition, within who I am as a person. And you get so excited and you build and you create and you change and you develop. And so there's a lot of people that once they are connected to knowing that these things are real for them, they are just nonstop because they're so passionate. Because it's amazing that all this is real. It's amazing that this is possible. It's amazing that we can spark truth and help ignite that within others. And we celebrate the people who have done that for us. And then we find ourselves in this like speedy, excited energy, but then we have to tend to that other part that grounds all that, because we're able to give it to other people because our vessel, even though it is our spirit, our vessel, our physical vessel is primed enough in a certain way where the brain allows you to speak about it. Your heart allows you to give. Your body has enough energy to give. And there's a maturity that comes within our spiritual development, our emotional development, our mental development. There's a maturity that comes that allows us to be ready to sit with spirit and to give messages and to understand and interpret with that neutrality. But there's also the maturity that comes from the body of, are we sleeping enough? Are we eating enough? Are we in our own energy enough where then we can cultivate further? And when we don't have the maturity of our own emotional state or our own physical state, we do have hiccups with how we use our energy spiritually. And it's all connected. No one's perfect. We are all human. But life really says to us, slow down. You have to mature and cultivate this side. You have to mature and cultivate that side. There has to be the harmony. for us to go forward. And it's funny because I know for me within readings, and hello everybody coming on in, I want to send a hello to Keith and Debbie and Tracy. Thank you, thank you. Hello, hello. I know that when I'm getting kind of overwhelmed within my own energy, it's almost like I start missing things around me because my senses are just too overstimulated or I overdid it. So like within a reading, I'll be like, oh, they just told me this, but I'm having trouble hearing it. Or, oh, they just showed me what it was and I'm having trouble seeing it. And I'll do my best to interpret, but then I know my energy is tired. And that is a sign where I have to take care of myself. My energy is tired, even though I'm showing up and giving from my heart and soul. And it's true because if I allow myself to have the self-care and I give to myself and I mature that part of myself with the sleep, with the sunlight, with the walking, with nutrition, with the balance and the repetition of what it means to strengthen my body, not just strengthen my spirit. When I see that picture or hear that sound, it comes in and it's like slicing a piece of cake. The cut is just smooth. I'm able to just go with the feeling. I'm able just to see the picture. I'm not having to exert because I'm not exhausted. I'm in alignment, and we have to create more alignment for ourselves. So within the grounding, within the spirit, I really thought and connected to the energy of lightning when I was opening up the space to talk about this subject. And lightning hits the ground. Lightning hits the ground before it sparks back upwards. That's a metaphor within itself. So in order to really strengthen your spirit, have a little bit more love for your vessel, because this is where we're transmuting the spiritual energy, this realm, to these souls, also in spiritual vessels and spiritual bodies. May we all take care of ourselves and each other and learn more and more ways to mature and develop our journey and what it means to ourselves. So with that said, I want to bring in Bronwyn Jane, and I want to give her a lovely introduction. So we're going to do that. So I'm going to bring her in right now. Hello. Hey.
Hi. Welcome, everyone. So thanks for being here. I can see everyone coming on and saying hi. So anyone that's coming on, make sure you say hi so we can see you.
I love the little sparkles of hello. And so I want to make sure that everybody knows you if they've already known your work or they're just learning about what you do. With that said, Bronwyn Jane is a psychic medium, spiritual coach, and international #1 best-selling author of A Resilient Life, who also speaks internationally. Bronwyn has been aware of her connection to the spirit world since she was 8 years old. In 2017, Bronwyn embraced her ability professionally, as well as in 2021 and 2003, she certified with Lisa Williams School, LWISSD, becoming a certified spiritual advisor and master teacher. She is also certified additionally in psychic mediumship, parapsychology, healing, and advanced metaphysics. Bronwyn's grounded and compassionate reading style has caught the attention of people around the globe. While she thoroughly enjoys meeting loved ones in spirit, her passion is sharing the knowledge to illuminate paths forward in alignment with their souls as she works. Welcome, Bronwyn.
Wow, that sounds a lot. I'd like to meet that lady.
Exactly. We have to celebrate ourselves. It's pretty amazing, right? But that's you. Like you're living it, but it's like, wow, like all that has happened.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to say it's an area of improvement for me to acknowledge the past in that space, because I do kind of look forward sometimes too much. So that, yeah, it's interesting to listen to that.
Well, if I may go out of the gate, how does it feel? Speaking of everything that you're doing, you have a college for psychic mediumship in Australia, and that's one of the first ones to really be cultivated over there.
Yeah, we're definitely breaking ground in that space. It's needed here. it's a lot of education in Australia is done in the traditional way. It's aligned to a medium. So hence why I went and got all those credentials to make sure that we had a really nice foundation behind the college. And so as an unregulated industry, we need to make sure that we have really strong foundations, nice and ethical, and it's structured in a way that suits all kinds of people. I'm analytical. I'm a skeptic. I have to come from science space. Otherwise, I can't just, trust without having something behind it. And so it's structured for people like me that need to have the science to understand. And I love what you spoke about in regards to the grounding and the sleep. So for me, it's like, yes, mind, body, spirit all goes together. I'm in my space when you talk about that. It's like, yeah, it's part of our connection. It's part of what we do. And so when I teach from that perspective, and then we build from there. So
what gave you then the tenacity to go, okay, I'm building a school. We are expanding on this level. It's not just I'm giving readings. I'm going to provide all this for other people to figure out how to do that too.
That's a brilliant question, and the answer's kind of long, so I'll condense it the best I can.
Oh, I love stories. So
yeah,
go for it.
Kind of long. I'm ex-corporate. I say I'm in recovery from the corporate world. So I'm in recovery. And it was never my intention to read. Whilst I, as a young person, experienced spirit, I navigated through the darkness of hiding as a spiritual person. I was just going to use it for myself, as I had always, to be able to just know the right decisions, this type of thing. I was blessed with a child that shouldn't have been mine. I was not supposed to have children. And when he arrived and started to be able to communicate, I realized he was the same. And that made a conscious decision that I was going to raise him differently to how I was raised. I was raised by religious people in the country. There was no reference point to who I was around me. And so it created some mental health issues in regards to I wouldn't accept myself, didn't talk, withdrew from the family. There was a whole lot of things happen. And so I made sure that as a mum that I was going to raise this young man so he was connected to himself the whole way, as he grew. Lots of challenges in that. His experience as a child was very different to mine. He was really tested. I understand why now, so I could have all this gamut of experiences so I could take to be able to share with others. So I know on a soul contract, he said yes. And sometimes I'm like, man, you should have really thought that before you signed that document, but thank you anyway. Right? And so I ended up finding my way into the spiritual industry so I could learn how to parent him. I needed to understand his experiences because they were very different to mine. As I said, never my intention to read, let alone teach. So when I would be in classes, he was allowed to go to adult classes at 11 years old.
Wow.
So I would go with him as a guardian. And our teacher would be like, you need to do this, Bronwyn. And I remember after about 5 years, she was doing a student reading day and she said, do you want to do it? I said, hell no. It's like if I could pull my arms down lower, I would. It's like, no, I'm not putting my hand up. And people tried to go peer pressure, which doesn't work with me. They're like, go and do it. I was like, no. And she said, I'll just ring you when it gets closer to the date. And I said, that's fine. Ring me all you like. I'm still going to say no. Right. Knock yourself out. She rang me and I had a malfunction. Something happened.
Oh, no. You're like,
There was a malfunction here.
Alarm.
My mouth said yes. And I'm like, oh, my God, what has happened? And I said, well, okay, I'm just going to do one person. And then I'll say I've done it. Right. I rocked up on the day and I had a full card and I'm like, what did you do? I said one person. And she's like, well, I just gave people names of all the readers and people just wrote down who they wanted to go with. I'm like, oh, God, all right. Did it because my word is my bond. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So reluctantly, I did a day of readings and at the end of it, I'm like, I can understand why people do this. I might just have a little bit of a play in this space. And so I played in the space part-time, navigating my work, and spirit did what spirit does. When you go through life kicking and screaming like I do, like I was like, no, don't do flow, do it the hard way. That's what I do. It's like, do it the hard way. So that's what I used to do. And they gradually took my other work out of my world. So I had no choice but to lean into reading. And so I led into readings and I loved it. I could see all the magnificence of it, not only helping people, but being able to touch the spirit world, being able to feel the frequency of energy, not only in this plane, in a psychic space, but also spirit and the bits that are more, right? So the more parts. And I'm like, this is awesome, right? This is like awesome.
Yes.
People can kind of get addicted to this. Like, it's awesome.
Yes.
And I was getting people saying you should teach. I'm like, I'm not teaching. I'm just not going to do that. I didn't want to read. Now you're telling me I'm going to teach. I'm not going to do that, right? Once again, kicking and screaming through life. That's my theme. It's what it used to be. And I was given the most awesome gift. Now, it wasn't fun. Now, gifts from spirit and the universe are generally not wrapped in a beautiful bow, and they're generally, right, not fun. But they are the best gifts that you will ever get. And I had a mentor at the time, and she basically banished me from her community because I wouldn't sign an illegal contract.
Ooh.
And shunned me. And I was harassed and vilified for 3 years, publicly and privately.
Oh, wow.
And I lost everything in that space,
wow.
from that spiritual grounding, the peers I had, the friends, the community. It was all taken away in like that.
Wow.
And that was my gift, because I wouldn't teach because she was a teacher and she was my friend.
There you go.
And so I'm like, well, there's no reason not to teach now. And so I did. And it just went from there, more and more and more. And as I leant into it more, I'm like, this needs to, all that happening onto the side of being ostracized was still happening. As I said, it went for 3 years. It was horrific, but awesome at the same time. Do I want to do it again? Hell no, right? But
just not fun.
No, I don't want to do it again. But it was, it was awesome, because there's lots of teaching in there, lots of elevation. And I remember one day, it was a really bad day. It was a really bad day for me. And it was a day where I didn't think I was going to have a tomorrow. And in that space, I remember hearing like a bellow as I was getting ready for readings, because each day I would beg for the people to cancel. It's like, I just can't do these readings. Please cancel them. Please cancel them. Please cancel them. And they would never cancel, and I would have to show up and do it. And I remember hearing Spirit saying to me, just surrender to us and we will give you everything you want, but more. And I'm like, all right, I've got no idea what I want. All right, then.
Twist my hand.
Not trying to show what I'm agreeing to, but okay. And I did. And that's when I started to find flow. I stopped fighting Spirit, and the school was born.
Wow.
And it was born from, as I said, the most magical moment, even though I don't want to do it again. Those moments are our gifts if we approach them the right way. If we don't fight, we lean in, and we understand that if we deal with whatever we're going through while we're in it, one, we can cut the time short of the torture that it feels like.
It's true.
We can elevate our soul and our abilities through learning the lessons. So if we are going through moments like that are really hard, while we're in it, sit in it, feel it, evaluate it, pull it apart, find where the lessons are, see where you're fighting life, do all the things while you're in it, you're going to end it faster once you integrate those lessons. And the elevation within not only your soul, but your abilities is astronomical. It is a direct correlation. Your internal work that you do on yourself and the link to your abilities matches. If you don't do your work on yourself, then there'll be plateaus, or it'll just kind of stop where you're at. They work together. So the moral of the story is, don't go through life kicking and screaming like me. Lean in, do the work if you want your senses, your as I said, your ability is to be able to translate energy of this world to be more. That's my key takeaway.
To lean in and
Lean in.
When you find yourself plateauing, because a lot of us do, especially within like spirit work or within life, they're like, it's not working, even though it was working before, or now like it's different what spirit is showing me. I don't feel like I'm progressing within my work or even with clients. Like, what is your advice to people with how you've continued to lean into things?
So if I have a plateau, first of all, I'm going to say thank you. I will always say thank you for it, because I know, one, I obviously need the break, need the rest, and it's my encouragement to create space to look at how I'm showing up, look at what I'm doing. And you touched on it in regards to the physical part of us, so we need to consider that, as well as our mind and the deep inner work. So the deep inner work, I'm going to look at all the things that are triggering me at that point in time. How am I showing up in my life? What am I doing? How am I responding? Sit with spirit, sit with my own inner wisdom, so my higher self, and evaluate, how can I be different? I need to short circuit the energy that I am currently bringing into my reality. As I said, I'm analytical, so I'm going to break it down. What energy am I contributing? So that'll identify what I need to look at as those deep personal work. And then I'm going to explore it. So that sort of happens off to the side. And once it's the right time, once I've had that break, that rest, whatever spirit's also trying to give me, I know when it comes back, it's going to be more. It always is. The difference is some people don't do the work. They kind of just sit in an energy of like, oh, it's not happening. Say thank you, because they're trying to give you something and you're fighting it. You're not in flow. Look at how you're in flow in life, whether you are or not. And how do you know you're in flow? You lose track of time and space. When you lose track of time and space, you are in flow. Everything happens fast. Everything happens easily. These heart and like actual physical heart, due to the bioelectronic magnetic field that it projects, right? So the heart and the energy center below, the solar plexus, are your navigation system. If this is driving your life, not in flow. Has a purpose to keep you alive, pretty much. But otherwise, it really shouldn't be involved in any decision making. Don't involve it. Don't invite it to the party at all.
Don't invite it to the party. It doesn't help.
It's not
It helps
help at
with
all.
some things, but ultimately it doesn't help.
No. Your heart is so significant. The amount of information that it sends to the brain, it's 40 times more than what your brain sends to the heart. It is next level. So this section here, what it sends out, how it picks up, how it receives information, what it processes, that is what should be deciding everything for you.
I do think like that is a very important takeaway within this work too, because when we are doing readings, we have to turn off our brain and we open up our hearts and we go into a different space. Yes, our brain's still working, but we go into a very, very different space and we get extraordinary information from that place. And it's actually much better than if we're just thinking the way that we've been taught.
Yeah. And you will, some people will notice this that are on here. So hi, Courtney, Alison, Tracy, Melinda, all the people I haven't said hello to. You will notice it because if you're prior to going into a reading, you might have a headache, you might feel tired, maybe your leg hurts. Once you're in a reading and you surrender into that energy, all your things go in a box. They go off to the side. That's how you know that you're connected in. When you end your reading, you come back and say, oh, damn,
there's my box.
my leg still hurts. So that's that connection in there, in that energy. But the other thing that is super interesting, and I loved that you spoke about this in regards to the grounding and the sleep, because we have that, the physical body is involved in this process. We call it an aura, those that are woo-woo. Those that are less woo-woo, bioelectronic magnetic field.
Yeah.
Right? Either are correct. So that energy comes through there into your body. It goes, through the nerve, the vagus nerve, into your brain, does all its things. The brain does all its stuff, all its magic process comes out. So when you talk about sleep, if you don't have quality sleep based on that your brain is part of this process, you won't be able to get clear, concise information. If you don't look at your nervous system, it will be impacted. If your nervous system is not in the ideal state, it will impact your reading. So when we go back to your question earlier on in regards to if I plateau, look at what's my nervous system like? Have I reset? How am I looking after it? What's my sleep look like? Am I hydrated? What is my body processing sort of heavier foods, which is making it clunky? And look, because that's all part of it. You need to analyze your toolbox. Are you looking after it? If you're not looking after it, it's going to impact your readings. Grounding. I never wear shoes. Everywhere I live, I'm the lunatic that runs around without shoes on. My husband says, "You're not getting into the car. Put your shoes on." All right, then.
Extra pair just in back, just in case.
Yes. Grounding. In a spiritual space, we talk about it all the time. But also the energy that comes up from the earth and what it does to our physical body, we don't give it enough credit. It changes the actual chemicals within our body. It puts us into a different state, changes often from, if you do it enough, like enough is like 30 minutes on grass, rocks, whatever you got. Changes it into an alkaline state. We will reduce disease. Take your shoes off. Remembering this is a toolbox. This is what it is. This is what we got. So look, we gotta
take care of what we got, or we can't even show up to class.
Yeah,
we sometimes we think, well, spirit will, find a way for us, and really, spirit does find a way for us, but there are many opportunities where it's like we have to increase our load. We have to increase our load. And we have to then increase our faith. And it's not sustainable because we're supposed to be learning these physical lessons too. We can't just all go one way because, we're trying to connect to the other side. We're not like living on the other side.
No, even though sometimes it sounds like a plan, because remember I said it feels kind of good when we connect in there.
Feels kind of good sometimes, right?
Yeah. The other thing too is, and you did touch on this, being in the sun.
Yeah, the sun is amazing. I gotta go out there more.
Gazing. It's like, get up early, people.
Yeah.
Get up, people. Go and sun gaze 3 minutes. Not only does it energize your body and provide you energy, it will fix your sleep, which we have already discussed is a correlation to your abilities. And it will activate your pineal gland. So when we look at our abilities and we're like, where we can still connect with spirit, we can still do our things. Do we want to just still be able to do our things, or do we want to be able to show up at our maximum level of connection? There's a great variance in that. And to get to that point where it's whatever your maximum level of connection is and clarity, you have to look at everything and encompass the whole package. So consider what your rituals, so how you look after yourself, what you do. That's awesome, Keith. You're definitely going to get the morning sun.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I'm impressed. I thought I was all right, but I'm going to give you the gold star. That whole process of, sun gazing, sleep, water, look at, the foods that we put into our body. Are we creating space for spirit? Space here. Are we creating space? We call it meditation, but sometimes it's just mindfulness. Sometimes it's just get the noise out of your world. And that might be all you need to do. I like to give students they don't enjoy it, let me tell you, but an exercise of every day, total silence for 30 minutes every day.
Yeah.
And those that commit to it, the feedback that they always provide is next levels. They go, wow, not only did I notice how much my body was talking to me, that I
It's
wasn't,
true.
all the things that I was missing that my body was talking to me about, all the things that I was also missing that's in the peripheral of my life that was bubbling up in that process. Space. We're in a crowded environment. We need space for spirit.
There's so many things like waiting for us to know, whether it's what do I do next or what's going on with me? How do I feel about these things? Why are these things happening to me? And there's a threshold, sure, that we have to calm ourselves down to hear that. But why are we distracting ourselves with so many things that don't have to do with ourselves? And then we're wondering why we're, floating lost, when really there's a world really to be experienced from ourselves, from spirit. But it's something that's always needed to be reminded of. I wanted to ask you something too. Earlier, I loved the way that you said, I chose to short circuit what was not working for me, so I didn't continue to plateau. And you mentioned that you were, nervous because you'd go into readings and be like, I hope they don't show up. I hope they don't show up. And I think that's like something that a lot of people really go through. I know when I was developing, like I had tremendous fear because I want to do such a good job and I wanted to be so ethical that I was just like, maybe I'm not supposed to do this. Maybe I'm not the right person. And I would, depending on what other mindsets people had when they first developed, you snapped that out really quick. You were just like, no, they're telling me to do otherwise. And then you leaned in. So can you talk about too, like what switches that you've made additionally to get to where you are?
Trust, control, and fear and getting it wrong are the common blocks that we have when we start our journey. So anyone that has that, it's like, you're part of the crowd, kind of normal. So that's okay.
Yeah.
And it is. This is what through doing readings, what I know to be true to start with, and I want to cover this and I'm going to come back. And I'll just, say it the way I normally do. So if you're doing mediumship, and I'll talk to that space because I do love our people without bodies. They're my favorite people, right? If you don't have a body, you're kind of my favorite person. So
I've lost already. I wasn't even starting the race, but I've lost already.
Right. We've got two groups, people with bodies, people without bodies. So no body people. So our people in spirit, they are my favorite people. So I love to hang out with those. This is what I know to be true. Those people without bodies, and also our spirit guides, but predominantly our people without bodies, have tried everything within their scope to get the attention and message across to their loved one. They've brought symbols in front of them. They've maybe dropped feathers in front of them, a whole gamut of things. You are their last resort. Right? If nothing else has worked, they've managed to get their person in front of you for a reading. They always show up because they've got no one else. They have tried everything else. And that realization that you are spirit's last resort means that I never worry, are they going to show up? That was always a big fear of mine. Are they going to show up? Am I going to open the door and is it going to be crickets? Like no one's there? Or is there a crowd? There's always a crowd. So I never worry about that. I know that readings have nothing to do with me at all. Zero. I have a voice box. Spirit doesn't. If spirit had a voice box, then they wouldn't come to me. They wouldn't need me. So my job is just to, and I say just because I actually want to downplay it, to be the voice of spirit. Whatever they give me, I'm going to share. I'm not going to make it fit. I'm not going to control it. I can't understand people's lives. I don't know what spirit's life was before they became join spirit, and I don't know what the living person's life is either. I can't assume anything. And so my job is just to say what I get. That's my job. It's nothing to do with me at all. And so with that fully embedded, I trust spirit. They've never lied. Humans with bodies, 100%.
Yeah.
So I know
Yeah.
I can trust spirit without a doubt. Control, if I want to control and I want to make it right and all those type of things, that's about me. I'm in my head. I'm showing up with ego. That's me. And if that does happen, because sometimes it does, I'm going to give myself like a little internal flick on the side, like, wake up to yourself, Bronwyn. That's about you, right? So I will. And the getting it wrong aspect of that is also about me. It also means that I haven't fully trusted spirit.
Yes,
Because I know that within my heart, I never want to hurt anyone. So I know that my intention is never to hurt anyone. Hi, Sarah. Never want to hurt anyone. So as those other two things, if they show up, I know it's ego. That's what I know. So with that embedded through experience, it doesn't come just without experience. So with experience, and because I'm an analytical mind, I've analyzed things over time, and I have this history of that. Now, spirit's done this, they've never lied to me, but a human has, so I know I can trust them.
Absolutely.
I know. So I've gone through that process, which has meant that I've been able to just lean in, just go, whatever you say, I'm going to give. Now, sometimes I will say, when they say something to me, I'm like, really? That's the thing that you want to say of all the things? We've got like 1 hour, and that's the thing we're talking about. You flushing a toilet to freak out your wife. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, you never know. No, yeah, you never know. You think like, oh, I have to follow this, or this is what's within reason. And you could just be talking about mumbo jumbo, but that's what the person needs to hear. And I really love the responsibility you have, because I think that's really making sure that you let go, because my firm belief is spirit is never the deficit. I'm the deficit. So I have to work to be a better medium. I have to work to be a better human, a more neutral, because they're lowering their vibration for us. They're there to help us. And they're helping us more than we could ever imagine.
That's right.
You know, their perspective is so much greater than ours to ever think it's like it's on them. Woof.
And when we connect this, and I love what you've said there, because I think sometimes with connection to spirit, and I'm going to say whether it be mediumship or guides, because this is applicable for both, we apply our limitations to it. And by that I mean every reading is an opportunity to teach, not only as the reader to teach to the client and be able to share and open their mind a little bit in that space, but also for spirit teaching us. So we need to be really open to be learning, because they are the best teachers. Doesn't matter who, and you and I share a teacher and she's awesome, but spirit is the best teacher.
Yeah.
And so being open to what they're going to teach us is the first thing. And then the second thing is that a lot of times when we connect to spirit or our guides, we don't just say, give me whatever you want to give me at this point in time, like whatever it is, right? I'm going to just let it land. I'm not going to process it, Bronwyn. Don't be you for just a blink of an eye and just accept, right? Don't analyze it. Just take it. And when you do that, the wisdom that you can get is technically out of this world.
Yes.
It is technically out of this world. And that's how we bring through new teachings. That's how we bring through new methods. We are in the most amazing time of existence. Now, true, there's moments where it's like, whew, there's a little bit of a ride, 100%, right? But the elevation that everyone is going through is so profound that the old teachings are like old encyclopedias.
Yes.
Right? And now we've got the internet.
Yes.
And so there's a calling for a massive amount of people to I want to be open to receiving new information and bringing it down for us, and then sharing it however it needs to be shared. This is where we are. This is awesome to be at this space. Totally awesome to be able to go, hey, maybe I'm going to bring down this amount of information that somehow it's going to be shared with people.
Right.
There's got to be new Dolores Cannons. Why can't it be you?
You're right. Yeah.
Why can't it be? There is no reason why it can't be. So be really open to creating the space for that to occur, getting out of your head and receiving. Now, you might not always know what to do with the information initially, because sometimes you don't. And it's just, I'm going to take it, write it down so I don't forget, or I'll process it however I need to, and wait for the next nudge on what I do with it.
I think, what you said earlier too, you said that sometimes, or we are spirit's last resort, and they're just trying to find somewhere to go to get what is needed out there. And I feel like that's the way that the universe works, or anyone who believes in like a higher power, God, whatever you call it. It's almost like the universe is coming down and saying, hey, we need someone to do this. So like you said, why can't you be the next Dolores Cannon? We need somebody to hold a certain vibration. We need somebody to do this idea and that idea, because the universe wants to expand. So you can hear it by chance. Why not do it?
Exactly. Someone has to do it. And if you say no, then they'll just go to someone until they say yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's coming. Like whatever they want to share will be coming. You won't be able to stop it. They're a force, right? Yeah. I know that. Like, here, just make a college. Off you go. It's like, that's a lot of work.
Okay, I'll do it.
Like, all right. And quite often I try and get out of this contract. And it's like, no, you said yes. It's like, damn.
It seems pretty important, Bronwyn. It seems like you need to carry this through.
I keep trying to get out of it. It's like, no do-overs.
It doesn't feel like that's the energy anytime soon.
No, it doesn't. I bring it up because within my world and within my space, I see it showing up. Lots of people are getting the opportunity to get information to elevate their skills. So as you're kind of navigating this space and you're learning and you're growing, don't limit yourself. Be okay with outgrowing a mentor. Be okay with it. I was not for a very long time. And that's part of, where we started with this story. I would hold myself back. So be okay with outgrowing your mentors. And you may get to a space where that you look around globally and there isn't one for you. So then you are the mentor for others. When you get to that space, that's what you are. That's your indicator. I'm now the mentor for others. I need to own this because this is why I'm here. And you'll know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and you'll know that is true, because as soon as you say that, it lands deep within you and there's no resistance. Even though you might be like, it feels like it's big, but there's no actual gut resistance. And you go, this is my thing. This is my thing.
Like the chirping. And I do feel like there's a lot of people who like long for circles or long for, I wish something was in my town. And they start thinking about it more and more. Wouldn't it be nice? Or I wish. And it's just like, there's no resistance because they want that. They need that. And sometimes they might step up and be that. And we're cheerleading those people. I want to ask you too. So you circle back to whatever's in your heart, but I want to ask you, so you had experiences when you were 8 years old with spirit.
Yeah, I did.
Then you went into the corporate world. So can you kind of take me through like how this was so natural for you and how you utilized it in your life? Whether, it changed throughout your life or however. I'm really curious about your start and how you evolved.
Yeah. And I will do a circle back, and then I will.
You can say whatever you want first too, and then go to that.
Then I'll go back. Well, thank you for giving me the space to do that. And because I just want to, for anyone that is on here talking, contributing and watching this, it's really important for you to understand this. I always looked for a spiritual community, and I'd been in a few, and they just kind of weren't landing for me properly. And I never thought that the community that I wanted would be one that I created. But that's what ended up happening. So if you're seeking something and you can't find it, maybe it's yours to create. So I just wanted to reinforce that. So how did, as someone that was a young medium,
you're like, oh, I'm going through that right now. So
yeah, that's right. So as a young medium, as someone that's 8 years old, super excited that my best friend that had recently passed, which was my grandfather, I could still see, hear, feel, interact with, and share with my family. And they were less than excited, told me to stop talking. I was scaring everyone. So I processed that as, hey, you're 7 years old, you scare your family. You being you, scare your family. That was a big deal. You sharing your voice scares people. That's what I processed as a 7 and 8 year old, by people that should have loved me in a way that you would expect. They loved me just really differently. They couldn't show up how I needed them to. So what happened was I pulled in. I hid who I was, all that I was, from everyone. If I was at an event, if you could get me to go to one to start with, because I wouldn't go, I wouldn't talk, leant on the wall, stayed back, observed, watched, felt through the energy of everyone that was there. You can't help it when you're psychic to know, oh, that person's this, that person's that. It just is the way it is. That's how I navigated life. I also, as I became older, realized that I knew things. So I was called a know-it-all. I couldn't help it. I would say this was X, Y, and Z was going to happen to my family, and I was called a know-it-all. Oh, you just think you're a know-it-all. Well, no, because I'm 12.
This is very fair. Yes. Wait a second.
I'm 12. I don't know. This thing.
You're trying to help, right? I'm 12.
Yeah, I'm 12. So, but through kind of getting that experience where I would know things and then it would happen, I would know things and it would be verified, I used it to help myself and help my friends. I would never say where it came from, because I'd already learned at a very young age that scared people. So I would just say, do this, don't do this. Now, true, that was not always received well, because like, you just tell people what to do all the time. It's like, all right, can't seem to win here.
Right.
Took me a long time to work out that, just to keep it in me for a bit, but I did do that. And I wandered through life, and it was like wandering through a dark forest, disconnected from myself, because showing up as me challenged those that were around me. And so I would squash myself to try and fit. That's what I did. I was always uncomfortable because I squashed myself. I didn't go to events. I didn't do things. It impacted relationships, because I knew when I showed up as all of me, I'd learnt this as a young age, at that 7 years old, when important things get embedded into us. I knew at that point, based on that it was a lot. So it took me a while, through just a few amazing people. And once again, one is our teacher, Lisa Williams, to appreciate that being all of me, there's people that can handle it.
Yes.
And so the more that I started to do that and just share the inspiration that I got from Spirit, share the wisdom, share the insights with the right people, I was reinforced, and all the old coding that was put in from my family was overwritten, that it was safe to be me. I was just doing it with the wrong people. That's what happened. It happened over time. It was not a fast process at all. And much like Kevin there, like he's 41, he's saying that when his gifts that was a significant time for him. Mine was around the same age. I'm 50. What am I? I've got to work it out. 55 this year. So I was like, how old am I? So it did take a little while, but it's you're not around the right people. And this is the other thing through the spiritual journey that you will have an awareness of is that we're all at a different level of consciousness, which is perfect because it could be kind of boring if we weren't, right?
Yeah.
So we're all at different, and we wouldn't get our lessons, and the whole heap of things that wouldn't happen if we were all at the same level of consciousness. So there's a reason why it is the way it is. But that acceptance of my family, for example, they're at a different level of consciousness to me. I am the black sheep of the family, and I know someone else, he said that they were too. That is awesome because you're meant to break the karmic bonds of that family as the black sheep. You are the person that is here to cut the energy and change the trajectory of everyone that's to come after you within that group. Big responsibility, but you wouldn't be the black sheep of the family if you couldn't do it, right? So with that awareness, the awareness that my family is at a certain level of consciousness, people that I used to interact with were the same, I have compassion for them because I know that where I am in my journey, and I'm not saying that I'm awesome. I'm not. I'm
You're awesome. Right? I'm saying you're awesome.
I'm a disaster.
That was an awesome intro of all the things that you've done. Okay. Yeah, no, I'll say it.
And because I am still growing and learning and I will sit and evaluate every situation that I have. So I appreciate that. But with that understanding that everyone is at a different space, we can have compassion for where they are and allowing us to drop back into our heart and go, I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to have any negative vibration around that. If you could do better, mum, dad, sister, brother, all my people, if you could do better, you would. You can't. It's not within your scope. So me expecting you to do better is unreasonable on me. I'm being really unfair because I'm asking them to be something that they can't be. And I apply that to everyone within my life. Some people are, and I say we're at different levels of consciousness. I don't say one's higher, lower. We're just different. We've had different experiences, different lifetimes. We're just different. And so we come here with that different frequency. So with that awareness of that is where I can really drop into my heart and appreciate that they're at a different space. And so therefore me asking them to be more than what they can is me being really unfair. And that is another one of those little flicks up the side of the head. Bronwyn, stop it, because I'm being unfair on them. And so as I navigate life, that's what I do. I can bring compassion into any situation based on it. So if you're struggling with compassion, you're struggling with forgiveness, those emotions, apply that thought process. It is like a super hack for getting through life, to look at people's levels of a consciousness and just go, where are they? Where am I? One's not higher and one's not lower. We're just different. And if I ask them if they could be more, they would be.
Yeah, I do think that's like a really like smart way to phrase it. Where is their consciousness at? Where is mine? And we do that all the time, but we don't like give each other grace, and I mean, I look at that within people, but I forget it sometimes. Like, I forget it, but like if someone was a professional basketball player or professional poet, you wouldn't go up to a random person and be like, I expect you to be on the same level. I expect you to slam dunk at 8 feet or 7 feet or whatever, or I expect you to write a symphony or, just beautiful, just lyrical assertion from your space of creativity. We don't expect like that high level from everybody in categories all the time. Why do we do that to people with some, acceptance and compassion would be nice as a basic thing from people, but yeah, we go, oh, they're not on that level. They're doing the best they can.
Yeah. And when we say level, don't think of it as higher and lower.
Right.
Not higher and lower. It's just different. It's just different. And I pose this to you as you're trying to kind of work it out for yourselves, is go, when you show up to do something, whatever it is, right? Do you do your best that you can do at that moment in time? because, you know, we have a variable. Some days are better than others, right? But at that point in time, are you doing your best based on how tired you are, how you feel, your emotional state? Are you doing your best? Yes. So therefore, you have to assume that everyone else is doing their best based on where they are at that point in time, knowing that it is a pendulum that swings based on emotions, based on our body, based on all the things that we covered at the start of this, based on that. And so we know that if they could do better, they would.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to pop too. I mean, there's so many things that naturally are just, you know, effusing from us talking, and I love the way you put things, like with how you laser in on it. I want to ask you about something that you're offering people too, with like a webinar with spirit guides. Can you talk about that, with what you have coming up and how other people can get involved? Because that is something that is accessible to everybody. It's a free webinar.
Yeah, it's free. So I have the college, which we've talked about. It's an online college. Yes, I'm in Australia, of course, accent. But the reason why it's an online college is I teach people all around the world. So I've got people, you know, in Norway, America, Lebanon, everywhere. So the webinar is available and it's always recorded. So if you can't kind of get there for time zones, it's all, I've got you sorted. We are doing a spirit guide webinar. It's probably about every 6 weeks, a free class. So go onto my website, join the mailing list, or at least save if you don't like emails, at least save the website so you can be aware of every 6 weeks. There's going to be a free class. It's important to give to people in the, you know, that are in this spiritual world. So there's always a free class, and we're doing the spirit guides this time. So how to identify them, all the different ways they communicate, how they show up in our lives, why they're here, how they help us. And you're going to know that if you're working with me, it's going to be you're drinking from a fire hose. I give you everything, as you can tell, right? I give you everything that I know at this point in time. I hold nothing back. It's a common joke with my students. It's like, oh my God, but I'm like, well, you know, why hold it back? Here it is, because there's going to be new information coming through. So I'll give you what I know. So it goes for about 90 minutes. Linear time is not my friend, so potentially could go a smidgen over. But it's all spirit guide stuff, which is super cool because it ties into so much of our life. Yeah, everything from soul contracts to how we navigate our daily lives, connecting with spirit. They are, I'm going to say, the spine of the book.
How can people find more about the college if they are curious with like the online resources?
Yeah, so the college is Psychic Mediumship College, so .com. So that is the URL. You're going to see my face on the front. That's how you're going to know you're in the right place. It's, as I said, online. There's lots of free resources there. There's other free classes that you can just kind of work your way through. There's books. There's all kinds of things there. My Facebook page has my community associated with it. So if you're looking for community or you want to kind of ask me a question, do all those kind of things, you can definitely email me through the college. But I go into the community and we're always doing stuff in there. So go onto my Facebook page and connect into the community there. So my Facebook page is Bronwyn Jane Medium. Lots of stuff that is out and about to share with you guys.
And it goes so fast. It goes so fast. We're already at the closing of the show. It's like we just started talking. Seriously. I wanted to know so much more.
I just answered Courtney's question. So am I able to put do I have the functionality to be able to put the link in the chat for the course or not?
You do. Yeah, you do. In the comments, it will come up from
I'll send it for you as a private chat. Will then you can copy it? Yes, no, doesn't look like.
Yeah, do it. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Just someone's asking. And that way they can find it that way. Yeah, there you go, Courtney. It'll come across to you. come across. You made it to the website. Excellent, Courtney.
We got all the links for you. Just say it. We have all the links.
If you make it to the website and you can't find the link, just email us. I have the most amazing humans that support me in this space and help me answer all your questions.
it takes a village. It really does, as well as all the wonderful people here too joining in with us. Thank you. I always give the final word to the guest, whether it is a favorite saying, an inspiration, or off the cuff, or whatever you want to pull. Please, what comes to mind that you want other people to know?
Our most valuable commodity is time. There's nothing else. In this world, time is our most valuable commodity. Don't waste one day based on what someone else might say, think, feel about you. It's actually nothing to do with you at all. That's going to stop you, if you do connect into that, from being all that you can be. You are meant to be all that you can be. So don't listen to the white noise of the people off to the side. If they're not in the arena of life, doing what you're doing, showing up the way that you are showing up, then they're just white noise. Block them out. Focus on why you're here. Connect into that, even if you don't know what it is. Just keep leaning forward. Spirit will guide you. Take a step down the path, step down the path, step down the path. You'll end up exactly where you're meant to be. Don't waste another minute.
Don't waste another minute. Just lean forward. Well, you make me want to lean forward and learn more for sure. So please check out her Psychic Mediumship College, her webinar, and check her out in general on social media. She's a wonderful, wonderful person, providing so many services to other people, and a fantastic medium at that. So thank you again for coming on, Bronwyn. It was a pleasure to get to know you further. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone that's commented and been part of it. I really appreciate you guys. Anyone in Australia, I know what time it is. We started at 7 a.m. in the morning, and wherever you are in the world, really enjoy your life, enjoy your day, have fun, and make the most of it.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Bronwyn. And please, we will see you next week on the Psychic Hour with readings and also interviews as well. Please go with love, luck, light, everybody. And don't forget to live. We will see you next week. Thank you again. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.